Hey, I'm Zeke.
And I'm Brian.
And you're watching Two Guys Talking Home Buying.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on today's episode of Two Guys. We're really excited. If you haven't watched the show before, it's real simple what we're all about. We just want to help as many renters as possible to purchase their first homes, and not just to purchase the first home, but to have fun doing it, to have it be a really enjoyable experience, and for you to go through that home buying process without really getting stressed out, which a lot of people do get stressed out through it. So we don't want that to happen to you. So on this show, we go through all 9 steps of the home buying process. It takes 9 steps to go from renting to owning, and so we cover everything on here. And specifically today, what we're going to cover is...
We're going to cover step 1 of the 9 steps to purchasing your first home, which is deciding to buy now or keep renting. Hey everyone, I'm Zeke. I'm the social media director here at Showcase Agency, and I'm also looking to purchase my first piece of real estate this year. I have a lot of questions, and I'm really excited to get started on this episode. And
yeah. So my name's Brian. I'm the co-founder and president of Showcase Agency. We're a real estate and mortgage company. That means we help people to buy homes, to sell homes, also to get home financing. I got my start in mortgages back in 2005. I co-founded the company with my wife Karen in 2017, and then she got her start in real estate way back in 2001. So between Karen and I, we have over 38 years of combined experience in real estate and home loans. And we thought it would be cool to get in front of the camera with Zeke, who is a first-time buyer. He's a newbie at this. He's really, gathering his information, doing his research. And so specifically today, what we're going to get into is going to be step 1 of the process. And if you'll hang around to the end, we've also got a couple of offers for you, and we're going to answer a viewer question as well. So let's go ahead and let's hop into it and see what your first question is.
Awesome. So it's, where are rates headed currently?
So rates are headed up. If you've been following the news about mortgage rates or home buying or anything like that, you've probably seen that we've had a housing shortage for a while. We had really low interest rates during that same period of time. And now what is happening is that the interest rates have gone up, and that's starting to make the real estate market cool off a little bit. You've got people that they're not sure if they really want to buy because the rates have gone up. You've got people that they do want to buy, but now because rates have gone up, they're not able to qualify for the purchase price that they wanted or whatever. So you've got a lot of people, falling out of the market, and that's what's making the prices kind of stall a little bit, but they still haven't dropped. But we're talking about rates, not housing prices. Where are the rates going? The rates are likely to go up. The main thing causing rates to go up is that the federal government stopped buying what's called mortgage-backed securities. They stopped that, I believe, back in March. And that was something that they started during COVID, and they continued it all through COVID, and that's what basically drove all the interest rates down. So it's unlikely that the Federal Reserve would start buying mortgage-backed securities again. It would kind of require, like a kind of another catastrophic event, and so it's unlikely that they would do that. So rates are likely to be, in the 4s and in the 5s this year, and last year they were in the 2s and the 3s. So basically they've gone up about 2 points.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, moving on to my next question is, can we go over the new loan limits and how they work?
Absolutely. I'm ready. Ready. So first of all, for those of you that don't know, every county has a loan limit for conventional loans and also for FHA loans. So if you were getting an FHA loan, you would need to make sure that the loan amount you're getting, this isn't the purchase price, but the loan amount that you're getting is at or below the county level. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So you got a different, you could possibly have a different number for FHA and a different number for conventional in a county, and it's possible that the numbers are actually the same. And then also too, depending on the number of units, that's another thing that determines the county limit. So if you have a 2-unit home, a 3-unit home, a 4-unit home, each time you have an additional unit, then the maximum loan amount goes up.
Awesome.
So basically, so does that answer your question,
Yes,
or you
it
wanted
does.
to cover like the numbers itself, or?
Yeah, can we cover a little bit of the numbers, please?
Yeah, so here's a great example of how things are the same, and then I'll give you an example of how they're different.
Okay.
So if you were buying in Orange County, the loan limit for conventional is the same as the loan limit for FHA.
Okay.
And that's $970,800. So that would be your maximum loan amount. So that's not your maximum purchase price. FHA loans require a minimum of 3.5% down. So as long as you've got your minimum 3.5% down and your loan amount is $970,800 or less, then you can go FHA.
Okay.
You know,
Perfect.
if you were doing a conventional program, they don't have a 3.5% down payment at that loan amount, but they do have a 5% down. So in the conventional example, if the loan limit was $970,800, and as long as you were bringing in 5% or more down payment, then that's going to meet the requirements for conventional. So that's an example of how conventional and FHA are the same in the same county. So Orange County, LA County, FHA and conventional are the same. If you go into Riverside or San Bernardino County, then FHA and conventional are different. So if you go into Riverside County, conventional is $647,200, but on FHA it's $562,530. So there's a difference there of about $80,000. So if you're going to do an FHA loan and you're purchasing in Riverside or San Bernardino, you might be limited by the loan amount, county loan limit, instead of like being capped out by the debt to income or something like that. So that's why the loan limits are important. And if you're looking at multiple counties, like if you're looking in Orange County and Riverside and San Bernardino, it's really helpful to understand if there's any differences between those counties, because we've had people before that are looking at both counties, and we can pre-approve them for more in Orange County because of the loan limit being higher than we could if they were over in San Bernardino.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
But when you go further out, you can get more house for the money sometimes. So that's where the trade-off is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer what
Yes.
you were wanting to know?
Yes,
And
sure
you
did.
can find these loan limits. They're pretty easy to find online. You would find the FHA loan limits with HUD.gov, and then you would find the conventional loan limits with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, either one of those guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay, moving on to my next question.
Sure.
Do you recommend buying when there are shortages?
Yeah, if you want to buy and you have reasons why you want to buy, like a lot of times people have a growing family. They're either single and they're getting married, or they're moving in together, or you might have people that are having their first kid, or they're having more kids, or whatever. So there's all these reasons why a family or an individual might need, a bigger home. There's also, people right now that are doing, better than they've ever done financially. And, they want to reward themselves by getting a bigger home or a new home, buying that first home. So, we don't look at should you buy in a shortage or should you not buy in a shortage. I don't feel like that's what should determine whether you buy. You should buy because you want to, or you should buy because you have a need for it. You've got 3 bedrooms and you need a 4th, or you really need a 5th, or whatever. So, so there's these different reasons, but I wouldn't buy or not buy because of a shortage. It just means that if there is a shortage, it's probably going to be more competitive for you out there as a buyer. You may be dealing with multiple offers. That's the situations that we've ran into over the last couple of years. But again, the market is starting to cool off a little bit, so we'll probably see some homes start to not have multiple offers. But again, we're still in a shortage, so even if things cool off, it's not like there's going to be a huge, price reduction or anything like that. It's likely that things would stay flat, or there would be slight appreciation.
Okay, I got you. Perfect. Thanks for answering that,
Sure.
by the way.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you. Next question. How do you calculate your DTI?
So DTI is debt to income, and that's something that if you're in this beginning stage where step one is really all about trying to figure out what's the best thing for you. Buying a house is going to be a bigger commitment than renting. It's going to be a hassle to move. It's going to be a hassle to find the place and go through all the paperwork. So there's kind of some downsides to it, and that's what throws people off, and they start thinking, well, is this really, something that I should do? Should I just keep renting? Interest rates are going up, prices are going up, there's a shortage, there's all this stuff going on, and so really it helps to, dedicate some time to just figuring out if you should, purchase or not purchase. What was your question?
It was how to calculate your DTI.
How to calculate your DTI. So in the beginning, when you're figuring all of this stuff out, one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to figure out, like, okay, how much home can I qualify for? How much payment is this house going to cost me? I know this house is $600,000 or $400,000 or whatever it is, but how much is it going to cost me in a monthly payment? And then am I, comfortable with that payment? So those are some of the things that you're figuring out in this first step. And DTI stands for debt to income ratio. And debt to income ratio is something that the lenders look at when they're underwriting your loan, they're approving your loan. And so debt to income is going to be higher or can be higher on FHA loans. It goes up to 57%. And then on conventional loans, it's usually in between 45% to 50%. So that's a little bit about what DTI, some of the numbers. Now, what is DTI? It's where your debts are divided by your gross income. So your gross income is before your taxes, your deductions, things like that. So if you kind of look at your W-2 and you divide that by 12, that kind of gives you an idea of what, how the lender might look at your monthly income. So that gives you the number that goes on the bottom of the equation. And then for the top of the equation, what you're doing is you're putting in the estimated housing payment. That would include property taxes, homeowners insurance. If the property has a homeowners association, you would include that. If the loan has mortgage insurance, you would include that. If you were getting a piggyback second, that payment would be included in there. So your housing payment is everything related to your house, but not your utilities. So it's everything is related to that mortgage payment. And then the minimum monthly payments on all your other debts. So anything that's reporting on a credit report. So things that don't report on credit reports are utilities. So even if you add the utilities now, that's something that's popular with a lot of people to improve their credit, is self-reported utilities. So even if you add the utility to your credit report, the lender is not going to count that in your debt to income ratio. If you have installment loans, so not a credit card, but a loan where you're making a monthly payment, if you have an installment loan and you've got typically less than 10 payments remaining, most of the time that can be excluded from your debt to income. If you have student loans and they're in deferment, meaning you don't have to make a payment right now, the lender is still going to calculate a payment for you and include that in your debt ratios. And that's usually anywhere from 0.5% of the balance to 1% of the balance, just depending on the loan program. So that's a lot of information about debt to income. if you are, trying to figure out, if you should buy or if you should keep renting, you're going to have to get to a point where you figure out what you can buy and what you're comfortable buying, and figuring out your debt to income ratio is going to be part of that. I wouldn't worry too much about like figuring it out on your own. A good thing to do at this stage is to talk to a few loan officers, even talk to a few realtors, but talk to a few loan officers as well. I wouldn't let them pull your credit at this stage. You're just kind of like getting to know them and getting information from them. I would suggest that you check your own credit, at this stage. And there's different ways that you can do that. And we even have in our guide, we have a section, 4 or 5 pages or so on credit. So it's a great credit section. But those are some of the things that you should be doing when you're starting to look at your debt to income, is talking to a loan officer and getting them to help you understand what you would qualify for. But that doesn't mean that you have to have the loan officer pull your credit yet, or even give the loan officer pay stubs or anything like that. You can just kind of like talk a little bit about it over the phone, and they can put some numbers together for you, and then you can take those numbers and use that as you're finalizing your decision to buy or to keep renting. But it's going to be really helpful for you to talk to a loan officer and get an idea of what you actually can buy, because a lot of the information is just not going to be accurate. You're not necessarily going to know exactly how the lender is going to calculate your income, but the loan officer is going to have a better idea. So it's really a good idea to pull a loan officer, or talk to a few of them, pull them in at this stage, even though you're not ready for them to do your DTI or anything like that.
Cool. Great
Yeah.
information. Great
Yeah.
information.
All right.
So how it works is the higher the DTI, the better, right?
No. Well, loan programs have a maximum DTI that they'll allow. So with FHA loans, 57% is the maximum. With most conventional loans, 50% is the maximum. So what does that really mean? That just means if you are trying to purchase more home, and if your credit score is lower, causing you to get a higher interest rate and higher mortgage insurance with a conventional loan. If that's the case, then you can probably purchase more home by switching to an FHA loan, because they're not going to ding you as much for the lower credit score on the interest rate. So you can have a low credit score and get a better rate with FHA than on conventional. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then on mortgage insurance, conventional mortgage insurance is based on your loan to value and your credit score. So if you got a lower score, your mortgage insurance is high. On FHA, the mortgage insurance is the same for everybody, no matter what your credit score. So those two factors could make the payment a lot smaller on an FHA loan. And then the fact that it'll go to 57% DTI instead of 50% DTI. For some people, that means that they can purchase more. They can get pre-approved for a bigger purchase price through an FHA loan. But it's not always the case, and that's why it's a good idea to look at conventional options and FHA options.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah, sure.